My name is Kevin Shatley. By submitting this assignment, I acknowledge that this work was done completely on my own. And I have two audience members. Now I'm going to begin my speech. Many large organizations that serve the public, such as UALR, cannot afford the astronomical costs associated with pressure washing the vast areas that make up their campuses. You should care about this because one person's time can lead to a contagious effort that can greatly affect the visual appeal of a public building, which can lead to a more positive experience for all its current and future members and guests. Today I'm going to tell you about my service learning. First, I'm going to tell you about my service learning. Then I'm going to tell you about the principles and concepts connected to my service learning. And then finally, I'm going to tell you how I can improve my communication through the experience I witnessed. Now I'm going to tell you about the organization. I completed my my service learning at Immaculate Conception Catholic Church, which is, I'm actually a member there. You should care about this church because it not only represents a parish of the greater Catholic community, but it also does a lot of good for the local community by hosting a food bank and other resources for the less fortunate of North Little Rock in the greater area, and hosts a private elementary school for children up to the 8th grade. The mission of my organization, according to their website, iccnlr.org, it emphasizes a few key ideas. Number one, that all members and guests feel a deep sense of belonging, because that is the most important aspect of community. Number two, that their parish is not so much of a place to visit, but is also a spiritual home, which consists of the 4 pillars of stewardship. The first one being hospitality, second being prayer, formation, and lastly, service. And finally, number 3, this organization creates its mission in sharing talents and blessings with one another. Okay, so the story of my service experience, there were 3 people involved. Carmen, who is the parish manager and director of operations. Kim Davidson, who's a member of the stewardship committee, and then Catherine, my wonderful girlfriend, who's actually here today, member of the audience. She helped with the project as well. So the place, it was obviously at the church campus, which also includes the school campus. And so I pressure washed desired areas handpicked by Carmen and Kim. So according to the stewardship's committee's definition of service, member of a stewardship parish are ready to minister to varied needs of their own parish family, as well as the needs of the wider community and church. This is important because the majority of the volunteers at the church are not gifted with as much youth as I may be at this point. Moreover, they may not have access to the acquired skills and machinery required to complete the tasks I completed. Thus, I shared my talents I have acquired by working for close friends who actually own a commercial pressure washing service, and the gift of youth, which I still possess to some extent, although it's still lacking compared to how it used to be. And I was able to bless the parish with a service that many of the plentiful volunteers may not have been able to provide. Now I'm going to tell you about the principles and concepts that connect to my service. This is a communication principle and 2 communication concepts connected to my service. Many messages are influenced by interpretation. The definition of communication principle is, according to the UALR Little Rock Introduction to Communication Survival Guide, it is: communicators generate meaning, communicators are unique, therefore meaning is unique. Communicators generate interpretations, communicators are unique, therefore interpretations are unique. What I think I mean is unique to me and to me alone. An example from my service that illustrates this principle is the areas that I chose to wash, as you can see here, as the statue of Mary and some of the main walks. You can see the statue of Mary here. Some of the main walk areas were the areas that were would be seen by the most patrons as they visited and experienced the church. A third example that illustrates this principle is because here where the statue was once covered in mildew, mold, and dirt is now clean. This communication to the observers through nonverbal communication emphasizes the church's priorities, being the mother of Jesus, which symbolizes the mother of the Son of God. Secondly, because of the areas of concrete that are now washed border up to sections that are not, it should hopefully suggest to other members of the parish that they too can step in to help clean up some of the other areas. Thus, there were two messages that I thought of. Yet, because every observer has shown their own free thinking minds, the interpretations of the mind are infinite. The final communications concept is indirect persuasion. Persuasion that disguises or de-emphasizes the speaker's persuasive goals according to Adler, Rodman, and Dupree. An example of my service that illustrates this concept is how the areas that I washed were strategically chosen as discussed earlier. Both the parish director, Carmen, and the attending member, the steward committee, Kim, would like to see more of the church campus washed. However, due to time constraints and obvious the size of the job, I was unable to complete the entire campus at this point. Hopefully it will become contagious, and that's kind of the goal and how indirect persuasion can come into play in this context of my service. Finally, I'm going to tell you how I can improve my future communications based on my experience at my service project. Based on my service experience, I can use communication concepts and ethical implications to improve my communication and help my community. Furthermore, we should care about our communication and its implications, because doing so makes our overall positive impact upon our community more effective by communicating more effectively. Thus, one communication concept I could use to improve my communication would be selection. The definition, according to the textbook, is the perpetual act of attending to some stimuli in the environment and ignoring others. I chose this concept based on my service because in a situation like the one I was in, where the project was obviously larger than the means, I had to make decisions on what to wash, given that I was provided more areas to wash than I possibly could. An ethical implication I could use to improve my community would be concern for the community. The definition, according to the Survival Guide, is committing to the practice of daily interactions of performance-engaged citizens that promote a co-created community experience. I chose this implication based on my service experience because one purpose of the project to incite a movement within a parish community to intrigue other members to help with the mass project of pressure washing the large 5+ acre campus. In conclusion, today I told you about my service learning. First, I told you about the service I did. Secondly, I told you about the principal concepts that were applicable. And finally, I told you how I could improve my communication. Now you can see how effective communication can help mitigate the astronomical costs of pressure washing a large church or school, or it could even wash a college campus like our own. Thank you.